Avatar, The Way of Water, directed by James Cameron, arrives as a resplendent fusion of technological mastery and emotional depth, a sequel that expands the world of Pandora more vibrantly than one could ever expect. From the first shimmering images of lush rainforest sunbeams filtering through foliage to the sweeping vistas of the ocean's azure expanse, the film immerses the viewer in a living, breathing world. At its core, this is the story of family and identity, transformed and illuminated through the lens of science fiction wonder. The narrative picks up over a decade after the events of the first film. Jake Sully and Neytiri now lead a growing family of Nausicaa and human Nausicaa children. The responsibility they bear for their clan expands as threats from human corporations meaning to exploit Pandora's resources grow ever more aggressive. The introduction of Daiwi, warmed as Kiri, Spider, and Loak, each with distinct personalities and roles in their parents' evolving lives, brings a tender heart to the story. The young characters are drawn with sincerity and nuanced complexity. You sense their curiosity, their insecurities, and their desires. Their arcs simultaneously mirror Jake's own journey from outsider to leader and Neytiri's steady wisdom tempered by maternal instinct. The film's pacing is deliberate, almost meditative at times, especially in the extended sequences exploring Pandora's reefs and underwater ecosystems. Cameron's longtime fascination with the ocean manifests in these sequences as both wonder and metaphor. Water becomes a living character, wave after luminous wave, schools of marine life dancing in coral forests, the bioluminescent night reef glowing in pulses of neon life. These underwater ballet scenes carry almost poetic weight, and they create a visceral sense of place that few films attempt, let alone achieve, at this scale. When conflict arrives, it cuts sharp against the beauty. The humans, backed once again by the corporate interests of the RDA, return with lethal force. Their tactics are ruthless: mechanized exosuits, gunships, and harpoon rifles designed to terrorize aquatic environments. The contrasting worlds of water and fire, wave and flame, Nausicaa and human technology establish a powerful tension. The film carefully threads this conflict through a narrative of exile. Forced from their home after a brutal assault, Jake's family seeks refuge with the reef-dwelling Metkina clan. Their arrival triggers deep cultural friction as Jake's clan, adapted to forest life, struggles to assimilate fully into marine customs and dialects under the guidance of Tonawari and Ronald. This fish-out-of-water experience is treated sensitively. Through rituals, language, and daily habits, we see the younger Nausicaa gradually adapt and grow. Emotionally, the film builds toward heartbreak and resilience. The loss experienced by Jake and Neytiri drives the story forward, and one sequence in particular, a confrontation in the reefs where a child is endangered, resonates deeply. Cameron crafts it with tension, sacrifice, and hope, and the result is stirring rather than exploitative. The film takes its time with grief, never rushing emotional beats, which makes the eventual triumph, at least momentarily, feel earned. The visual effects remain trailblazing. Performance capture underwater pushed the boundaries of what actors can deliver with facial and bodily subtlety. Scenes of the Nausicaa gliding through kelp forests or racing across reef paddocks shimmer with life. Light refracts through waves onto characters' skin. The micro-detail of scales, coral textures, and shifting currents immerses the senses. The cryotech of the human technology, reflective metals on exosuits and submarines, pops with photorealism. The fish-like Tulkun creatures loom enormous and majestic. When one Tulkun calf comes close enough to let Nausicaa touch its skin, the bond there conveys awe and kinship. These sequences justify Cameron's famously extended production timeline. The film breathes. Musically, James Horner's legacy is honored while Simon Franglen builds upon it with sweeping orchestral themes, intertwined with indigenous vocals and percussion. The score reinforces emotional lifts and underlies suspenseful moments without demanding attention. Dialogue, largely in English with interspersed Nausicaa language, feels grounded. The effort in linguistic authenticity deepens immersion. When younger characters speak in Nausicaa to each other fluently, the cultural weight is palpable. What feels particularly human about this film is its exploration of parenthood and belonging. Jake, who became a hero by embracing Nausicaa's ways, now struggles to guide his children along their own paths. Neytiri's instincts are strong, but sometimes at odds with Jake's protective impulse. Spider, the human-born son, juggles loyalty to Jake with a sense of being different. Kiri's mysterious origins and her bond to Iwa create tension in the tribe. Loak, rebellious and adventurous, finds kinship among the Reef clan. Their tensions, rivalries, affection, and hope are familiar even in this alien world. The performances, from Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana to Sigourney Weaver and Kate Winslet, who joins as Ronald, have a lived-in naturalism. Winslet, surprisingly, blends into the Nassix clan convincingly. Young Madison Lintz and Britton Dalton bring off-screen siblingship that feels unscripted. There are moments where exposition slows the narrative flow. Some of the political positioning of the RDA and the various survival logistics among clans feel weighty, almost mechanical. Yet these aspects are structurally necessary, grounding the poetic visuals in stakes you understand. The runtime approaches 3 hours, and arguably some scenes could have been condensed. But for fans of the immersive and epic, the pacing feels intentional rather than oppressive. The film rewards patience. Each act reveals deeper layers of world building and character. Emotionally impactful sequences include the Tucan chase across Reef, the mourning of bloodied parents, the rescue of an endangered child, and the final confrontation on Pandora's surface above the water, where firepower collides with indigenous unity. Cameron stages action with clarity and scale. The aquatic combat flows seamlessly through 3D space. Each charge of Nassix trident against missile trails feels cinematic ballet. The color palette, emerald green, cerulean blue, glowing orange coral, pop vibrantly in high dynamic projection. Combined with Dolby Atmos sound, you feel waves crash in your chest and the exhalations of creatures nearby. Narratively, though, some critics felt the film hewed close to its predecessor in plot structure. Exile, Assimilation, Homecoming. But the shift from forest to reef, from flight to swim, provided fresh emotional currents. It doesn't feel derivative. Instead, it deepens the themes of connection, adaptation, and ecological guardianship. The film repeatedly affirms that identity is shaped by environment, tradition, and bond. The struggle to preserve ecosystem against exploiters resonates all too well in our own world's climate crisis. For all its visual grandeur, the film also delivers quiet intimacy. Jake and Neytiri's moments by firelight or in underwater caverns convey love and fear. When Kiri reaches out to a Tulkan calf with trembling fingertips, it's a whisper of communion. The script allows silences to speak. The film trusts its audience emotionally. Watching Avatar, The Way of Water is less like viewing a movie and more like visiting a world in mourning and transformation. It is a celebration of life in myriad forms, an ecological allegory that refuses to moralize, instead inviting awe and reflection. While not flawless, it offers a rare blend of spectacle and soul, pushing cinematic boundaries while remaining a human story. Over long runtime, you come to care deeply about characters both Nassix and human, and you walk away with a sense that Pandora is more than a backdrop. It's an extension of the heart. In conclusion, Avatar, The Way of Water stands as a modern marvel of filmmaking, immersive, emotional, visually groundbreaking, and thematically resonant. It may ask patience, but those who linger will find themselves swept beneath the waves into a world where water is life, loss is legacy, and family, bloodborne or chosen, guides the journey.